Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Hope everybody's well. Having a good day. Tuesday, July 15th already. Time flies. Updating gold. Gold's down to 33.32. I don't know why they're beating it down because COMEX is then going to have to deliver to China when they buy these options and they ask for delivery, or this is over. So very surprised that the U.S. is just ignoring Basel III the way they are. Silver, same thing, 37.62. And it's funny how the graph is the same. I mean, they're doing gold and silver shorts at the exact same time, but it's not price fixed. No. So some people might say, well, it went up, so now it's going down. They don't understand how these options are played. In a paper world, of course, that's what's happening. Because they can short it at 39. There was 39.05 the other day. So they put their shorts in. Now it's going down. It's 37.63 silver. And then somebody will come in and buy it, and it'll go up. Because that's how you play options. That's why it's an option market and not a physical market. But why are they using this as the physical price? Clearly, silver was 39.05, so why wouldn't that be the price? Oh, it's down to 37. Well, because they're selling derivatives. It has nothing to do with the real market, the physical market, and the actual price of gold and silver. This is such a joke. Gold's now 33.27. Again, they're pushing the price down. I have no idea why. There's no reason for it because the demand's huge. All of brics is buying gold. So this is a buying opportunity. So what's happening is somebody wants to buy, probably China, probably Russia. Maybe it's even the US who figured out, hey, we need gold. And they're pushing the price down with the options from JP Morgan, Citibank. And they're putting the price down. I think they're trying to guide you into Bitcoin and stocks. So you buy those thinking, oh, those are okay. Because most people have no idea what's going on. So they'll buy those. So let's take a look. So we got gold 33.27. So here's where I would have got hurt on my stock. 9.45, it's down to 33.38. And then it jumps back into the 33.50s at 10. So I'm now going, oh, okay, here you go. And here's the double dip, right? So it went down. It started going up. I buy. And then at 33.50, now it's going down again. This is the only way you get hurt. And this is very rare that the algorithm's doing a double dip. Because normally it goes down and then it starts going up because that's the nature of options. This is the problem with options. This is the problem with COMEX. This is the problem with using this as the physical price. This is no way the physical price, but they're doing it anyway, and that's what Basel III is supposed to do, is say, okay, China comes in and says, I want to take delivery of this gold at 33.27, which you can't get at 33.27, but they want to take delivery of it, and then JP Morgan has to deliver the physical. But my bet is JP Morgan doesn't. They won't do it, and that'll close COMEX because they can't ignore it. Nobody will play anymore. They'll just simply go to the mines and buy, or whoever has the gold. But, so silver we saw at 39. Mark McGuire was wrong. He said, once it breaks 38, it'll go to 50. But Mark is wrong, obviously. So he got to 39, and it kept going. So anyway, that's what's happening. So we will see. We'll come back. It's just temporary, and it's all options. It's all paper. That's why you don't get upset if you own gold and silver and you go, shit, it's going down. Or why isn't it going up? Because this is not a physical price. This is not supply and demand, people demanding gold and silver, and yet the price drops. How can the price drop if people are demanding it? So that's why we just we just have to be patient and wait for the real price. And COMEX will blow up because they got to be Basel III. That's the law. And if they don't, and they just ignore it because they're JP, because we're the richest, it won't work that way. And the fact that the dollar's worthless. So everybody, it's all Keynesians, believe that you can just keep printing the dollar. And the thing is, but it kills the value of it if you keep printing it. So the simple question is, why don't they just print $37 trillion and pay off the debt? Why don't they do that? Because they can't. Because if they did, the 37 trillion printed would be worth 37 cents. And so this is what we have. Anyway, gold, silver starting to move back, 37.66. All right. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at, I was going to take a look at eBay, but it's not good. Nothing in baseball, I think, till Friday. The National League's favorite, 115-7 tonight. I wouldn't bet this game at all. A guy named Raleigh wins home run derby. Never heard of him. Carol Raleigh's derby performance put the Finian on the X-Center to Major League stardom. I don't know who this guy is. The Tigers' Riley Green leads MLB in strikeouts, and he's still an all-star. Hard to believe it. Hard to believe he strikes out that much when he knows what the pitch is. Yeah, I'm not going to really waste time on baseball. Let's look at the NFL. See if there's any news there. Sirianni slams criticism that how is Hurts the Super Bowl MVP? That's crazy. Isn't a top tier quarterback. I mean, he's not. I mean, he's average at best. I don't even know if he's as good as Jared Goff, who sucks. Why does people think he's good? What is he? He runs too much. Can't read a defense, and it's the Bush tush. So, it's good for Reggie Bush, I guess, but I don't know. He hasn't done anything. Their defense won the Super Bowl. I can't believe the quarterback was the MVP. That's crazy. Bucks bring back original 1976 uniforms to celebrate franchises. Why would they do that? They were like 0-16 in those uniforms. Big mistake. I don't know, not much in football. We can look at the line. It hasn't moved. We looked at it the other day. Philly 746.5 over Dallas on Thursday. The Friday night game in Brazil, KC 2.5, 45.5. Tampa 1.5, 49.5 against Atlanta. Cincinnati 5.5, 44.5 to Cleveland. Miami 1.5, 46.5 to Indy, which we got to see who the quarterback is. New England 3, 42.5 against Oakland. I think Oakland's a better team. Arizona 6, 42.5 over New Orleans. The question is New Orleans quarterback. Pitt 3, 39.5 over the JETSs. Pitt's going to kill them. Washington 7, 46.5 over the Giants. You got to love Jalen Daniels. Although the Giants should be better with Scatterboo and Russell Wilson. Should make them a much better. It should give them balance because they have the guy from LSU, the receiver. So Neighbors, I think. So with Russell Wilson throwing the Neighbors, he can hit Scatterboo out of the backfield, but just Scatterboo running. Now, will the Giants be stupid enough not to play Scatterboo as they got this other running back who sucks? I mean, he's not in Gentry's class or Scatterboo's class or Gentry. Jacksonville 2.5, 46.5 over Carolina in a nothing, and both teams suck. Tennessee, Denver 7.5, 41.5 at Denver. The Niners 1.5, 45.5 against Seattle. That's a joke. Very good game here. The Rams 2.5, 45.5 over Houston. Houston with the good defense. They need a quarterback. The Rams are just loaded now. Stafford, Devontae Adams, and Puka. Good running, good defense, good coach. So look for the Rams this year. It'd be a very good team. They had to replace Aaron Donald, but now they have. Buffalo 1.5, 52.5 to Baltimore. Green Bay is 1.5, 49.5 over Detroit. And Chicago, how they're favorite, I don't know. 1.5, 44.5. So that shows you what the bettors think of J.J. McCarthy. How the Bears are favored with Caleb is unbelievable. I don't know what's with this internet. It's really pissing me off. Am I still on? Okay, I guess I am. All right. So, I guess I'm on. I got a viewer. All right. So if you look at the betting line, it tells you what's they're thinking. Not that we listen to it, we make our own lines. But I don't trust J.J. McCarthy. He didn't do anything at Michigan that he'd be you're making him your starting quarterback. This is the same thing Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. They made him their starting quarterback like he was good. Minnesota's never really had good quarterbacks. Fran Tarkenton, how many? He lost 4 Super Bowls. We lost 3 of them. Joe Kapp lost the other one. I mean, they don't know how to get a quarterback. I've never seen a franchise this bad at picking quarterbacks. So they're in trouble with McCarthy. He completed 1 pass in the exhibition. But again, he's hurt his knee. He hurt his knee at Michigan. His first or second year there. That's why the other guy led him all the way to the title. But then they put in McCarthy, who, he might be like a decent runner, but ain't a quarterback. When you got Justin Jefferson, you want a quarterback. You don't want a running back. Anyway, so I don't know about that. Teams like the Lions, you've got to look at their new coordinators that have no experience. The coach wants to go for it on 4th down. He doesn't understand any of the concepts of football. The concept is you punt the ball and play field position. That's football. Oh, we don't do that now. Well, why not? Why did that change? It's like when I was at the gym I'm bicycling next to the guy, and we start talking, and he's a socialist, and he admits being a socialist, and I just roll my eyes like, who the fuck would admit that? And he's talking about the Constitution. Well, it needs to be rewritten because it's 1776 and we're in 2025. It's old. There was not a lot of people. Where are you coming up with this shit? It's the concept. Adam Smith was not made for 1 million people or 100 million people or 500 million people. It's the concept and the theory. You let the people go and they will vote, and they will go, they'll vote with their wallets and just get out of their way, and just let the grocery stores compete for your dollar, and that'll keep everything fine. Do not have government interference to set up a monopoly, which is what J.P. Morgan is printing the money is a joke. You notice how J.P. Morgan's in all this. They're in Madoff. They're in gold price fixing, silver price fixing. They're the biggest crooks on the market, right? And so I see that's what's happening, right? They're the biggest crooks. And so the idea of rewriting the Constitution, what are you doing? Well, it goes to football. What do you mean punting the ball inside the 5 is now a bad idea? Or the kickoff, changing the kickoff is a good idea. Why are you changing it? Why move the extra point back? Why is that a good idea? It's the idea is it's a bonus. That's the idea. You score a touchdown, you get an extra point by just kicking this, from the 2-yard line and in. That's the concept of it. Not let's move it back to midfield and have them kick. What's the reward of the touchdown then? So get rid of the extra point. I mean, do that. Don't move the extra point back, but I wouldn't get rid of the extra point. You'll kill a lot of bets because you're getting 7.5. And if you don't have the extra point now, you just need 6. So you don't really just change things. And that's what I don't get. So again, he wants to just think going for 4th down is a good idea. And the good teams don't do it. Philly does it they cheat because they run the rugby play, which is not football. Why it's allowed and thinking it's good is beyond me. Now, why more teams don't do it? Because they don't want to waste their time getting their quarterback injured. So is that why he thinks Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback? Because he can run a rugby play? He can't pass, but whatever. So I just find that sports are making changes, but they're not adding value, as I call it. So they're not making it better. And the example is baseball with this 10. If the game's tied, we go to sudden death, and we don't go to both teams have to bat, but we put a runner on second, and we put a runner on second. Why? To speed the game up. Why are you speeding the game up? What's wrong with the game? Is there a problem with the game? The way you're making it, there's a problem. The reliever has to pitch to 3 batters. What kind of crap is that? How did that add value? Well, it was taking too long for all the relievers to come in. And you've dumbed down the game and you've watered down the game with this bullshit. I want to bring in a lefty to face a lefty. That's it. That's his job. And then we'll go back to a righty. No. He's got to pitch to 3 batters. What kind of crap is that? That's hurting the game terribly. The pitch count, I don't get it. I don't get the need to hurry the game. Either the game's good. It's like a movie, Batman or Lord of the Rings. I mean, either they're good movies, so you don't care about the time. I mean, you want the movie. I want Lord of the Rings gone for 6 hours. I mean, there was no hurry to get it over. Batman, there's a hurry to watch the second movie. We want to see the second movie already. We got to wait till next year because of what it takes 5 years to make a movie. That movie should have been already made as you're making the first one. So in other words, they should be doing 2 and 3 at the same time instead of spreading it out 2 or 3 years. James Bond did that. I thought it was terrible. He made the one movie, and then it was like 2, 3 years later, he made another one, and then 3, 4 years later, he made another one. It's like, I'm not interested in it. And I really did like, I thought that Daniel Craig was better in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo than he was in any of the Bond movies. I thought the Bond movies were poorly written. Spectre movie, there's Blofeld. Gee, we didn't know that because we didn't watch Thunderball or From Russia with Love or any of these other movies, you know. And I almost watched like Mission Impossible as Tom Cruise is James Bond. He's bringing in the same cast. James Bond's wife was in the Mission Impossible 4 as the killer. Same plots. You're going to destroy the world. You just don't have Blofeld. Now they got the syndicate. And I saw Mission Impossible 5. I saw Mission Impossible 6 on an airplane to Europe, to Italy. But I haven't seen, then I got the new one, number 7, which I don't know what the hell that is. So I don't really understand it. But that's, James Bond, when they had Pierce Bronson, it was all over. But again, it's the changing of everything, but it doesn't add value to it. And that's the problem with baseball. You're not adding value to it. Football, you're not adding any value with the kickoff. It made it worse because there'd be a lot of kickoff returns. The guy on the Bears would run a kickback every other game just about. You're taking that thrill out. I still remember the 73 USC Notre Dame, and Anthony Davis goes 102 yards. The second half kickoff, and all of a sudden they put up a 50 on Notre Dame. Well, why do you want to take that emotion? Check the emotion at the door. Why do you not want the emotion in the game? That's what makes football so good, is the emotion, and you're killing it. And then all these prop bets are killing it. I mean, it's just ridiculous what you're doing to football. So it's unfortunate. Too much statistics that are absolutely mean. I was listening to a guy on the radio yesterday, and he's talking about, well, the statistics help the pitchers, but not the hitters. And you're kind of like, well, I don't know what he's talking about. What does it mean he helped the pitchers? Well, they know where he swings. Well, you don't need analysts to know where the guy swings. Either they're low ball hitters or high ball hitters. It's very simple. And after watching the guy swing, you'll know what he does. But he might adjust to the pitch. If it's high, I might swing at it. If it's low, I might golf it. Most of the Tigers are just, this McKinstry made the All-Star team. He's a joke. He's not a hitter. He just kind of, if the ball's outside, he just check swings the ball to left field for a single. He's an all-star. Happy Bias is not an all-star. That's a joke. Riley Green, he gets pitches right down the middle and he hits home runs, a few of them. He's their best player on a bad, weak hitting team. And then who's the other? Ralphie Torres, the second baseman, hitting 280. Again, is he an all-star? I don't know. If he is, then there's a pretty weak all-star game. I give you Scooble. I'm not sure Casey Mize. Okay, he went to Auburn. He knows Bo Jackson. I'll go there with it. But the hitting is just terrible, and it's too much of this analytic bullshit. Well, I bring in the pitcher in the 7th inning, and he's going to pitch to the 7, 8, 9 batter. So I have a pitcher for the 7, 8, 9 batters. I have a pitcher for the 1, 2, 3, but they can't go 2 innings. I can't have my 4, 5, 6 pitcher pitch 7, 8, 9 also. They can't pitch 2 innings. It just blows my mind how stupid these managers are, how much they're listening to analytics, and how bad the game's getting. This is why the game sucks. First of all, it's not on TV, which you desperately need to show your product. And if you think, well, I'm in Detroit, I'll buy FanDuel. Why should I buy FanDuel to watch? You're out of your mind. Same thing with football. I'm not going to, the Peacock Network, Chicago, Minnesota, whatever. I'm not watching that. If you want to have your audience, then you put the games on TV where the audience get it. Most people are getting rid of their cable and they are going to these streaming network, but I'm not going to get 12 different streaming networks. Right now I got Netflix and that's it. And I'm thinking of getting rid of that because it sucks. There's nothing on it. Now, okay, the Christmas game on Netflix. Fuck, I'm not keeping Netflix for a game. I mean, it just, if you can't put it, you got four networks: ABC, NBC, Fox. If you can't find a network for it, won't the networks pay? Aren't we paying a lot watching these commercials every freaking 2 minutes? So there's a big problem there, I feel. Anyway, so really not a lot in sports. We did football yesterday. We did Conference USA and Mountain West, and tonight I'll do the MAC and the Sun Belt, the two weaker conferences. But we need to identify the A team and the Z team there. It's all the theory, right? You always want to bet against the Z team. You want to bet against weakness. You want to bet strength. You want to find the good quarterbacks and the over teams in every conference. There's always games. I locked Texas State against some Z team last year. They won by 40. I mean, there's value in every conference. There's good and bad teams. There's good and bad players. They don't all go NIL because there's new ones coming up and they didn't get recruited for whatever reason, and they come in. Like Michigan likes this Underwood. He might be a flop. There could be a kid at Miami of Ohio who's a good quarterback, or Toledo. They have a lot of good players. Kent State, Jack Lambert, he's pretty good. They don't all go to Penn State and USC, UCLA, Ohio State, Alabama. So this is why I do these videos on that, just because of that. Because you got to know all the teams. Now I go through it when I go through the games. Once we get to the regular season, once the games are started, okay, Saturday's games, then we go through that a little bit more. Again, I'll give you a free pick, and then the rates will be the same as last year, except for the class will not be $25. It'll probably go up to $75, and that's just, it's got to be worth my time. I try to invite people in to get them into the thing because I'm not going through every game in the regular broadcast. I will do it in the class. So we'll see. Most of it we kind of can see in college how good or bad the player is going to be. You don't get better in the pros than college. You max out in college, and then the pros are even harder, so you're not going to max out. Most teams are all stealing everything from the other teams. So you got most teams are, they're all running the same. In the NFL, they're all running the same offense and the same defense. It's just the GM who has his head up his ass, doesn't know how to pick quarterbacks, and like Tyler Shaw at Louisville. Like, what are you in the first round? Or Daniel Jones in the first round, Caleb with the first pick, and it should have been Daniels. I mean, this is how stupid the GMs are. The coaches are terrible. They don't understand the game. They understand the analytics. So they're just looking at what the numbers say, and that's what they're looking at. But, I don't see the need to speed up any game, any sport. Why are you speeding it up? Because the kids are on their phones the whole time because they're addicted to looking at YouTube or Facebook or whatever they're looking at. Those aren't your customers. It's like saying, well, we're going to do this with steaks, but we don't care about the vegetarians. We're selling steaks. So we want to put it out for our steak sellers. You've got to understand your audience, which is what I talk about quite a bit. So are these kids really your audience for baseball or football, and you're getting rid of the kickoff. Who was that for? Not for a customer. We like the people who like football like the kickoff. Who are you adjusting the kickoff for? Well, they might get hurt. Yeah, it's football. It's like car racing. Of course, there's going to be accidents. You're going 200 miles an hour. But the people watching it are car people. You don't change it and screw it up for them, because the other people who aren't fans, who cares about them? Who cares about the fan who doesn't, who's not a football fan? Those are like half the Lion fans. They go to the game. They don't even know what a first down is, but they like the Lions are winning. They don't even know what a kickoff is. You shouldn't get rid of the kickoff. It hurts the game for the people who are fans, who have been fans, and it's good for whom? Who is it good for? Well, there won't be injuries. Well, why is that good? It's football. The Lions had 15 guys on defense hurt last year. Maybe they shouldn't play. Maybe we should play two-hand touch. They wouldn't get hurt. That might help. That might, people will watch then. I mean, it's just ridiculous what's going on in football. Get rid of the kickoff, move the extra point back 25 yards. What the fuck are you doing? They're just clueless. They're hurting the game. Well, we don't want anybody hurt. Then make it two-hand and make it flag football and see if anybody watches. You have a market. You have a huge demand for NFL, pro football, with hitting and tackling and Lawrence Taylor hitting and all that stuff. Lawrence Taylor took out Theismann. Did the popularity go down? Not at all. Joe Montana got crushed by the guy on the Giants in the 87 playoff. Did that prevent any? No, nobody turned it off. You got upset because if you bet the Niners in the game, you got Montana knocked out, but that's basically it. So, who are you catering to? Who are you speeding the game up to? The people that don't like it? Well, then why are you catering to them? If they don't like it, screw them. Again, it's like you're a bakery and, you're selling donuts and cupcakes and you're catering to, people that want vegetables. Like, no, you cater to your fans. There's no reason to speed up football or baseball. Football is getting way carried away with these replays and reviews. An injured guy, it's 15 minutes. You're watching commercials for 20 minutes. Get them off the field and off you go. It shouldn't be this 15-minute check. The reviews are ridiculous. Well, we got to check the time. Why? Why do you got to check the time? Whatever the time is, the time is. Like I said, this Philadelphia play has got to go. That's rugby. We're watching football. You want to go watch rugby? Go turn on the rugby game. Royal St. Lytham against Britain or something. Go turn that game on. I'm watching football, and rugby's not part of football. So, I mean, that's really the key to it, right? I hope I don't get jinxed again. Anyway, let's start looking at, okay, so the one thing is, why is there a war in the Ukraine and in Israel? And why is the U.S. so interested in war? Well, the U.S. has this incredibly stupid concept by the CIA that the war will get you out of a recession because we'll sell weapons and there'll be people working and they'll make money. How does that help the government? Well, they'll pay tax. Okay. So taxes will go up a little bit, not a lot. The defense contractors will make money. GM won't make money, and Apple won't make money, and Microsoft. I mean, nobody else will make money on that. So they believe if we have a war, the defense contractors will get you out of a recession and get you out of the 37 trillion. That's why they're at war now. And if you notice, what are we doing? We keep sending weapons that we don't have to the Ukraine. And the funny part is, we go to Europe and say, okay, you've got to have 5% defense, So you got to buy weapons from us, spend your money that you don't have, goes and then give it to the Ukrainians. Who does that? It's like, well, I'm going to go to the grocery store, but I'm not going to buy groceries for me. I'm going to buy groceries for somebody else. I'm going to buy groceries for Ukraine. What is that? What is that? That's insanity. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So why would Germany? I showed you that clip yesterday. Why would Germany buy weapons and give them to the Ukraine with their money? If Ukraine doesn't have money, then the war is over. So why are they prolonging the war? Because we're in a recession, and we think that if we have military spend, we'll get out of the recession. Has it ever worked? No. Will it ever work? No. Secondly, these countries don't have money to buy the weapons. Germany has no money. All these countries in the euro are broke because they have the Social Security pensions to pay for, their own debts to pay for. Well, they'll just print another whatever, $5 billion to pay for the weapons, which they don't have. So you have this whole big inflation that nobody really wants to talk about, or most people don't really understand. And you have that. So that's what this war is really about. It's the defense contractors. It's we're in a recession. How are we going to get out of it? Oh, we'll have a couple of wars, and we'll have the defense contractors, and then we'll make them buy it because we're the U.S. And then when they buy it, we'll give the arms to the Ukraine. They have no chance of winning, but we'll sell them arms. So we don't care if they win or lose. We just care about selling military. Kind of fucked up thing is that. So the war is about selling weapons. Sherlock Holmes too, right? We'll have a war and we can sell weapons to both sides. And that's what you have here. You have this war so the U.S. can sell weapons to both sides. Or I don't know if we're selling to Russia, but we're giving it to the Ukraine. They have no money. So now we're saying, you know what? Ukraine has no money. Let's have the NATO and the Europeans buy it and give it to the Ukraine. Because we don't want to give it to the Ukraine. We want to sell. We want the money because we're broke. So that's a clear sign what's happening is we're broke. $37 trillion debt. We're fucked totally. And here, the second piece of this is we had Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi try to come out with a gold-backed currency, and the U.S. killed them both, right? It's embarrassing to actually call myself an American. They killed them both, right? That's what happened. So here comes BRICS coming out with the gold-backed currency. This is reason number 2 for the war. We don't want them to have a gold-backed currency because the U.S. dollar cannot compete with gold. Never going to happen. Nothing can compete with gold. So you have BRICS all coming out with gold-backed currency. And it's already out, the unit. It's already out. And the U.S. is freaking out because the dollar's gone. The dollar's been gone for a while. They just don't want to tell you that, but that's what's happening. So the gold-backed currency's out. The dollar's gone. But what can he do? He can't kill Putin and Xi, Russia and China. He can't just kill them. He ain't going to get close to killing them. So he can't, so now Trump, whoever's running the country, Soros, realizes the gold-backed currency we can't control anymore. And I think that's why BRICS has all these countries, because they all know the gold-backed currency is the best. And nobody can tell you what to do. That's what I keep saying with gold. It's freedom. Nobody can tell you what to do with gold. You own it. That's it, period. Once you own the gold, nobody can take it from you. Nobody can say it's worthless. Maybe that's why the U.S. is trying to knock it down, but all it does is make it easier to buy if you can find it. So I go to my gold store, it's a jewelry store a couple miles away, and I can go buy it. He just looks at Comex, and I just smile, saying thank you. But if you want to buy a lot of it, you're not going to him. You're buying bricks. You're buying the 400-ounce bars. That's what the central banks are doing. And then all the numbers are wrong. I mean, China's got 70,000 tons now, Mark McGuire said. And we'll say, well, the central bank has 2,900 tons. No, it's 70,000 tons. Russia, 25,000. India, 30,000. Saudi, 30,000. Who are you kidding? And we do not have 8,000 tons. We have zero. Like I said, if you really had it, you'd show it. You asked me, do I have a Mano card? I said, I did. You said, show it. I showed you. That's the point. I'm going to prove it. You don't believe me? I'll prove it. All right. So let's take a look. So here's Trump threatens BRICS and 100 nations walk out on him. Let's take a look at that.
First, we offer overnight boarding. Your pet will stay overnight in your sitter's home and not only be treated like part of the family.
This isn't about yield. It's about trust. Glass shatters. Shouting echoes. Flashbulbs pop. The Treasury Secretary storms out of a closed-door press briefing. His tie askew, papers in hand, face red. Scott Bessent isn't walking.
He's terrible.
Charging. Cameras catch just 5 words. We sent the letters. 100. And just like that, Washington goes silent. 100 countries issued what Bessent calls tariff letters. But critics say these weren't letters. They were ultimatums, with no dialogue or diplomacy. Just an industrialized threat. Renegotiate trade under U.S. terms, or face tariff rates not seen since the 1930s. The letters, according to Bessent, will boomerang tariff rates back to April levels, some as high as 50%. But here's where the first contradiction lands. None of these countries had agreed to talks in the first place. Vietnam, Korea, and Mexico, yes, reliant on U.S. exports. But a majority of recipients, silent. No replies, no outreach, no public concern. The implication? Either they don't believe Trump will follow through, or they've already moved on. That silence has teeth. According to Bloomberg's global trade trackers, more than 63 countries on Bessent's list now do more annual volume with China or India than with the U.S. That's not politics, it's arithmetic. So why would they negotiate a lopsided bilateral with Washington when they're already hooked into lower tariff corridors via BRICS? This isn't defiance, it's indifference. But here's what makes the timing especially volatile. Trump delayed the tariff trigger. Again, July 7th was the original deadline, then August 1st. Now Bessent calls it a signal, not a deadline. Yet markets aren't fooled. The S&P 500 dropped 2.1% intraday the moment Bessent's remarks hit Bloomberg Terminal. Investors weren't reacting to the tariffs themselves. They were reacting to the chaos around them. That chaos includes a $3.4 trillion tax expansion, passed just weeks prior, fueling fears of debt-driven inflation baked into policy. There's no fixed line, only warnings that don't land, and trade partners who don't answer the phone. Meanwhile, a second front opens. BRICS. Trump's newest directive imposes an automatic 10% penalty tariff on any nation aligned with anti-American BRICS policy. But, the term anti-American isn't actually defined. Is it de-dollarization, joint infrastructure, multilateral settlements? Under that logic, Germany, a NATO ally, could be penalized for conducting RMB-settled trade with China. Brazil could even face double duties for participating in a BRICS reserve asset program. That program, designed to settle trade in commodities like oil or lithium using a shared non-dollar instrument, hasn't even launched yet. This isn't a line in the sand. It's a moving target painted on the backs of anyone who trades outside the dollar. And yet, Trump's pressure campaign reveals a deeper irony. The United States helped write the global trading order it now seeks to punish. The WTO, the IMF, SWIFT, even bilateral free trade constructs. These were built, funded, and policed by Washington for decades. Now, with BRICS forming a separate financial bloc, one rooted in non-dollar settlements and raw commodity trades, Washington's own framework is being turned against it. The same interdependence it once championed now becomes its constraint. Let's think deeply for a moment. Because what Besant calls a trade strategy is starting to look more like a containment doctrine with no boundaries. This isn't diplomacy. This is a shotgun wedding with a ticking clock and no groom in sight. Consider the raw numbers. Back in 2000, the G7 accounted for 70% of global GDP. Today, it's just under 43%. And BRICS, they've climbed from 18% to 34%. And that number is still rising. China alone is projected by the IMF to make up 19% of global GDP by 2029. Now, let's factor in those pending BRICS expansions, like Indonesia, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. If they're formally admitted by 2026, the bloc could control over 46% of the world's productive capacity and more than half its critical mineral output.
I don't know what he's talking
So,
about.
leverage does
They're already in Egypt and those. And BRICS has, as we watched the Putin speech, has far more than the G7. So I don't know what this guy is talking about. You lose. Let's look at the kernel. America is repeating the same bullshit we did in 1914. This was a pretty good one.
Swiss engineer created a
I was watching this morning.
So efficient, it's making old ACs obsolete.
Is he right? I suppose if we.
So I like this guy. He seems to be honest.
It wasn't announced. It probably is not nearly as dangerous as it could have otherwise been. Originally, there were discussions of trying to impose a no-fly zone, which didn't make a lot of sense since the Russians very rarely fly manned aircraft over Ukraine. Virtually everything is unmanned or missiles or drones, whatever you want to call them. So that didn't make a lot of sense. Then there was this discussion of monumental tariffs that would be imposed on Russia, and it looks like President Trump has backed away from that, punting the whole thing 50 days into the future, which I think is probably the least damaging thing he could do for himself at this point. So what are these weapons? I don't know. I mean, obviously we're going to try and send them Patriot missiles. I don't know what else we have planned. I don't see us providing any of the standard missile family, SM-2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth. So I don't know what else we're giving them or selling to our allies. I don't know what the allies are going to provide. I was prepared for a stupid comment endorsing the decision of Chancellor Merz to use Taurus missiles against the Russians for the purpose of attacking the manufacturing facilities inside Russia that turn out so many weapons and missiles and rockets and so forth. Didn't hear that. So on the one hand, I think the glass is half full. In other words, it could have been much worse. And I don't know that what we're sending is really going to have much impact. I really don't think it will.
What do they think they're accomplishing? I mean, I don't want to get too political, Colonel, because I want to prevail upon your military expertise. In the same breath in which he made this announcement, he said, it's Joe Biden's war, it's not my war. It is his war if he's going to continue and even increase the rate of military supplies. So, bigger picture, have the neocons become triumphant? Is this Lindsey Graham waging the war?
Well, I don't think Lindsey Graham could be very happy right now because he had hoped to achieve more. And I think he did the best that he could do in terms of manipulating President Trump. If you go back and listen to Graham's comments, which I reviewed earlier this morning because I was too busy yesterday to do so. And he talked about saying, well, Putin has got to learn that you cannot play Trump. And that really struck me as an interesting statement because that kind of statement would really appeal to President Trump. Nobody can play me. I'm Trump. I'm the tough guy. I'm the boss. You can't play me. Putin's not going to play me. Well, of course, that's all irrelevant nonsense. It has nothing to do with actually what's happening on the ground, never did. But I'm sure that appealed in some ways to President Trump. But then in the subsequent 24 hours, I think President Trump began to look at some, grim realities. We have 8 days worth of missiles right now in our inventory. I'm talking about standard missiles, Patriot missiles. I don't know how many theater high altitude defense missiles we have. But the point point is, after 8 days, we run out. And my sources inside the Department of Defense say, after 8 days, the conventional war is over, and you have to go to a nuclear weapon. And I don't think President Trump wants to do that. So I think what he's doing is pretty typical for what most politicians do, Judge. He wants to be a little bit pregnant. Well, how do you get a little bit pregnant? By you give some things, but not everything. So in the final analysis, what has he changed? Nothing. Nothing fundamentally has changed at this point. And the interesting part is that my sources, I do have some inside the administration, tell me that behind the scenes, there are talks between Moscow and Washington at very high levels, and they seem to be going well. So, this is more of the same. It's politicians don't like to be decisive. They don't like to take firm positions unless they're absolutely confident that everything will go their way. So I think what you're getting from President Trump is half a loaf, which in the final analysis on the battlefield will be no loaf at all.
Here's the clip to which I think you're referring from Senator Graham. Chris, cut number 2.
I expect in the coming days you will see weapons flowing at a record level to help Ukraine defend themselves. I expect in the coming days that there will be tariffs and sanctions available to President Trump he's never had before. I expect in the coming days more support from Europe regarding their efforts to help Ukraine. Putin made a miscalculation here. For 6 months, President Trump tried to entice Putin to the table. The attacks have gone up, not down. One of the biggest miscalculations Putin has made is to play Trump. And you just watch. In the coming days and weeks, there's going to be a massive effort to get Putin to the table. And to those who are helping him, China.
How naive is he?
I was going to say, this guy's delusional. He just said we have 8 days of inventory. All these weapons are going to be flooding. And it's not like, they're not like groceries. You have to actually make the missiles and make the planes and make the tanks and make whatever you're making. And the Ukrainian army is a bunch of 70-year-olds now because they're all dead. It's either 16-year-old kids or 70-year-olds who are not trained to be weapons. How the hell are you going to fire any of this stuff? And we don't have any. We got 8 days left. And what if we actually need it? And there's Israel. So I don't understand it. How naive, like he's saying, or delusional this guy is. And people don't have money just to buy weapons. I mean, it's we'll sanction them and tariff them. You can't tariff them. They're on the BRICS network. They're on the unit. They're on gold-backed currency between Russia and China and India. They don't do business with the U.S. Doesn't make anything. All we are is a buyer, right? We do not produce anything. There's nothing. There's not. What do we make here? We don't make anything. So what is the big deal? Oh, we buy from you. Well, believe me, if you want something, you'll still buy it. Walmart and Apple will still get their stuff. Microsoft, somehow, like they'll work around it. Or if they got to go to Canada and sell it here. I mean, what an idiot.
He thinks that President Putin would come to the table, using his phrase, before his military objectives, which he's on the cusp of reaching, have been achieved.
Well, it's absurd. And again, President Putin has always made his position, the position of Russia, very, very clear. That's never changed. The real question here is, why should the Russians believe anything we say? This goes all the way back to the coup in 2014, the subsequent Minsk Accords, the arms control arrangements that we unilaterally dismissed out of hand is unnecessary. Why believe anything we say? And I think President Putin has been very straightforward and honest with President Trump. And people keep telling President Trump, well, he has to give something. If he doesn't give up his position in some way, you lose. You have to be a winner. This is the confusing aspect of the whole thing, because President Trump was far more rational 8 or 9 months ago when he recognized there was nothing happening in this area called Eastern Ukraine that justified the expenditure of American blood and treasure, nothing to be won, and that he really wanted to end the war. But every time he's tried to end the war, he's got people like Lindsey Graham saying, now, come on there, President, you've been played. Don't you understand? You've been played. And that kind of thing, I think, sadly resonates with President Trump. You listen to him on the golf course, and he says, "You've been playing. You can't allow this to happen." It's a lot of nonsense. We don't have any interest whatsoever in what happens in eastern Ukraine. We never did. And Trump has always had it within his power to end this thing by simply declaring that and pulling out. But we want to be seen, or President Trump wants to be seen, as the heroic figure that brought about peace. Well, that's not going to happen.
Right. I wonder if Senator Graham and his colleagues that agree with him still think they can use the war in Ukraine as a battering ram with which to drive President Putin from office. We haven't heard that articulated recently at all.
No, look, they still live in a fantasy world. As we've said repeatedly from the beginning, they continue to believe the nonsense that Russia is weak, that Russian society is fragile, that Putin is a quote-unquote hated dictator. We are the good liberal Democrats that want to bring peace and happiness everywhere, which in reality means we want to bring in a bunch of some of the lowest forms of human life in the private sector to rape Russia, steal everything they can from it while we put a puppet in Moscow. Well, that's failed. That's not going to happen. Now people are really turning their attention to try and repeat that process against Iran. But as far as Russia is concerned, that's over. And this is not going to affect anything the Russians do. They're going to proceed as scheduled. And, 50 days is an interesting selection. In 50 days, the Russians could be standing on the Polish border.
Right. You mentioned Iran, Colonel. Did Trump's bombing of Iran make the Middle East more stable or more volatile?
Not only is it more volatile, we are at war with Iran, and people don't seem to understand it. Simply because President Trump dropped bombs and then said, "Well, that's it. Now we want peace. I'm sending over coffee and sandwiches this afternoon, and we're going to get along and work together," is irrelevant. We are a co-belligerent with Israel at war in the region, and effectively we're at war with everybody because Israel's at war with everyone at this stage. So, I think people don't understand. There was an Israeli named Yanon who, back in the 1980s, set forth a plan for the region. And it didn't work out quite as anticipated, but 40 years later, it now rings true. And he simply said, our first goal in the region is fragmentation, division. In other words, break up the region into smaller packets that are more easily managed by us. In addition to that, once they're fragmented, we want to pit them against each other. Then we want to subjugate, clean up, and ultimately resettle areas with Jews, replacing the populations who are there. That's what Bibi Netanyahu is all about. That's what he's doing. It's kind of interesting if you go back and look at Sharon and Gaza. We had
I don't want to get into to this side. I just wanted to talk Ukraine and Russia. But the whole point of this war is because Russia, China want to go on the gold standard. Actually, BRICS, and the U.S. doesn't want that. That's really the hidden thing here. And then they think to get out of the recession, they'll sell the weapons. So they keep pushing Europe to buy the weapons. Notice Ukraine has no money, although they have a lot of money because we keep laundering money with them. And that's really what the war is about. It's about the gold standard. Like I said, it's been Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi both wanted gold-backed currencies, and they basically killed them. And they just can't kill Putin and Xi. I mean, Russia and China, you can't go after them. So that's the problem. And then every time we try to do the tariffs, it doesn't work. Oh, it'll be 7 days, it'll be 50 days, it could be 1,000 days. If I don't use your dollar, so if I'm not using this, I'm using gold now, and you tariff this, who cares? I'm not using it. This is what's so incredibly stupid. I want to read you a passage that I just saw. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act caused the Depression, trade implosion, major reason of World War II, let the war parties come into power. That's the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1930. Now you have the idiot Trump Tariff Acts, whatever they're being called. And you've got the game plan. What do we have? We have wars. We have recession. We have this huge debt that we can't pay off. I really don't know what he's thinking or what they're going to do. I mean, it's just insane. You know, I'm not really comfortable living in America because of this new America. You got idiots on the bicycle telling me that we should get rid of the Constitution and have a new Constitution, an updated Constitution. What's wrong with the Constitution? Limited government, low taxes, gold standard. That works anywhere. It doesn't matter if you have one person or 100 million people. It's not based on numbers. Oh, well, now we have 300 million and now it's 2025. So we need a new thing. No, we don't. It was done correctly. It was Adam Smith had written The Wealth of Nations, and this is what's coming out of it is what we've done. And we've been highly successful until the communist socialists keep trying to change it and make amendments to it and all this crap that is not needed. I'm sorry. It's just a joke. What they're doing is ridiculous. I played this one yesterday. The German chancellor saying to the guy calling him out, Russia nonstop attacks. We saw Mark McGuire. I already played him a couple times. Where basically he says that COMEX is over and that they have to cover. If they don't, then all the BRICS countries will just buy the gold and silver physically somewhere else. But the whole key to it is we want a physical market. That's what China and Russia are going to give us. And you won't see these hop up and downs with that physical market. So that's the key to it. I think that's about it. Must eat after 50. Our good doctor. And it's just the same thing we eat, avocados, and watch your sugars and stuff like that. Let's see if there's anything else that I missed. Here, Putin will strike NATO. He has no desire to strike Europe. He's not going to strike Europe. Just insane what they bring up. Hundred nations walking out. Not much else. Pretty much, we know Russia's bombing Ukraine to try to end the war. Why is Ukraine still fighting? Because of the U.S. wants to sell weapons. So the war is created to sell weapons. That's the point of the war. What the fuck is that? And oh yeah, by the way, BRICS is going on the gold-backed currency, and Trump keeps going, well, if you do that, then we lose control. Is what he's saying is, it's sort of like you're married to this girl and then somebody else comes up to you and the girl likes him better. And you warn the guy, well, wait, my girl, she's my girl. And the girl's like, no, you're not. I like him better. And that's basically what's happening is the U.S. is losing the dollar as control. It's not controlled anymore. It's the gold is the new guy taking the girl. And now the gold is the currency that everybody wants and trusts because the U.S. blew their opportunity by being bullies. And I'm sending out 100 tariff letters. People don't care. They don't do business with you. BRICS, as they said, is doing more than the G7, but everybody can buy from China who sells anyway. They're all selling and buying from each other. So they've switched markets. So let's say you have McDonald's in it, well, if you don't do this, we're going to, tariff you at McDonald's. And they'll go, fine, I'm going to Wendy's. You eat your burgers at Wendy's instead of McDonald's. And so you ignore Wendy's and that's it. That's what the U.S. is trying to be McDonald's saying, you've got to eat here oh, wait, the customers are going to Wendy's. Oh, if you eat at Wendy's, I'm going to tariff you. We don't care. We're going to eat there. And that's really what the problem is. These whole tariff things, this whole thing is just ridiculous. And it's so obvious, the defense contractors. I mean, how are they getting so powerful? Because the CIA runs them, and the CIA came in and said, hey, you know what? If you, if you got to get out of recession, we'll have everybody buy the military. Because if there's no war, there's no demand for the weapons, because they need it for green energy or whatever other bullshit there is. And that's just not it. So anyway, I think that's about it. And we will see what we see. I'll see you when I'll see you. I hate that line. So I think I'm going to go have lunch, go swim. I've been getting my golf in a little bit. My back's sore, so I can't really make my swing that I want to make because of my back. So I'm just chipping and putting right now, but I can only take so long of that until my back starts hurting. That's why it's hard for me to walk the lake. Also, because I walk it and it just, my back compresses, I guess. So I try to do that. But I think I've lost some weight recently with my 70-hour fast, and I've kept it off, and I haven't had my sweets or my pop or any of that. I think the pop was hurting my feet. My feet actually feel fine. My back, I'm a little surprised in, is a little bit sore, but we'll see. So I cooked some barbecue chicken last night. I got salmon still to eat. So I did see steaks. I went to the grocery store yesterday to see if the steaks were cheaper on Monday. So I came up with this idea where, you know how restaurants want to make it more expensive at 5 or 6 o'clock and less expensive or more expensive on the weekend. So they want to have like a rotating menu. Oh, if you come during dinner time, it's $10. If you come at 4 o'clock, it's $9. So I thought about that, and I noticed it with the grocery stores. They will put things on sale on Monday. There was steak on sale yesterday for $9, not the sirloin and strip that I wanted, another kind of sirloin, but it was $9 on sale. And what I've got is on the weekends, you're barbecuing and there's more activity at the grocery store, so you don't need to put things on sale. You come on Monday or Tuesday, you come Tuesday morning, and they're going to be on sale because nobody's shopping then. Everybody's working. Well, whoever's left to work. And that's the difference. So when you're working, when there's nobody in your place, you put things on sale because you want to move it, because you want to draw people in. And I noticed that with Red Robin. It's Tuesdays like $10 cheeseburger or whatever, and you get the two sides. But if you go on Wednesday, it's not. So obviously they don't get a lot of customers on Tuesday. So they put the sale on to draw people in. And very smart if you know about it. And then you go Tuesday and you get the burger, and it's a couple dollars off is all. It's not really much, but it's a couple dollars off. And you do that, and then during the weekend it's normal price, or during the rest of the week. So I thought about that for the grocery store, and I think if you go to grocery shopping on Monday or Tuesday morning, you'll find much better sales, because just for that reason, they need to. There's far less shoppers, so they draw you in. So I think I noticed that on gas too. There's certain days it's very expensive, and then if you go, like, Tuesdays are expensive for some reason, but if you go on like Thursday or Friday, it's a nickel or so lower for gas. So keep conscious of that. Again, it's supply demand. So if the demand's down because there's nobody in the grocery store or at the restaurant, they will lower their prices to try to draw in demand. And that's what you get. The barbecue place, I know on Sunday, It's packed. It's like people have never seen food there. Sunday at 3:30, 4 o'clock, you go, it's packed. I can go now at lunchtime. There'll be just me and the cooks in there, and my gold people. So you have that to keep aware of. Just another supply and demand thing. So anyway, I think that's about it. So again, BRICS, gold-backed currencies out. They're called the unit, and everybody's buying gold. There's probably no gold left. I don't think the U.S. wants to follow Basel III and have the delivery of physical. And so we can make the law and the rule, but they don't have to follow it. I don't think that's going to play well. I think they have to follow it. That's what Mark McGuire was saying. Maybe I'll play that again tomorrow, but he basically sits there and he says they have to follow it or they're going to blow up COMEX. If they don't want to agree with Basel III, they'll have to blow it up because the demand for gold and silver is too strong. They'll just simply buy it elsewhere. All right, let's take a look. No comments. Where's all my comments? I mean, you're lucky you're getting a live class where you can actually ask me. Duh. All right. All right, let's see how our gold and silver, if they started jumping up. A little bit. Gold 33.26, silver 37.72. Again, this is not silver down 70 cents is not an indication of no demand. It's not an indication people are selling it. It's a bullshit number. It's really so you can buy it. You've got to think in reverse with COMEX. This is about you can buy silver at 37.72. Not I'm holding it. Why is it going down? Oh, it's not a good thing, and they're selling it. No, it's got nothing to do with that. And the gold 33.26, it has dropped. It was sitting in the 33.50s. Again, the U.S. still doesn't get it. Wants to knock it down. I don't know why. They want to paint the picture. You don't want to buy gold and silver. You want to buy Bitcoin and you want to buy stocks, which you can't follow. You don't want to follow those people. And you can't lose with gold and silver. Like I say, it's the only investment or thing where there's no risk in the portfolio. The Dow is down $300 to 44,148. This is a fake number. Again, you must understand these numbers are bullshit. This is they just print the money, and these are algorithms, and they're not real. All these spam calls, Jesus. And they're not real. So you've got to understand that. So keep that in mind. Again, BRICS, it's a trade. It's all the countries wanting to trade, but the U.S. is bullying everybody, like with these tariffs and sanctions, and they don't want to play anymore. So they've grouped up all the BRICS. There are 40 countries, probably end up being 100. That'll just join and be this one big group, and the U.S. would be left out in the cold with England, who's broke, and Germany, France, and Italy, who are all broke. But don't kid yourself. Germany and France and Italy, I'm sure, have gold, with the U.S. and England and Canada don't have any, which just shows you how stupid the people are running it. COMEX will get broken out with Basel III. It's coming. It's July 1st. It's happened, and we're just waiting for it to like officially sink in. So it's there, and it should. And you saw silver jump to 39. They're pushing it down because of the derivatives they'll have to cover if they do. Cities in these derivatives at 2,600 gold and $25 silver. Whoever's running that place has got their heads so far up their ass they don't know what they're doing. So they let's short it. Let me get out of those positions because I'm going to go broke. Well, you're going broke because it ain't going. There's too much support at those numbers. I think you have the All-Star game today. It's usually on Tuesday. Nobody cares. 33.27 gold, 37.74 silver, but we'll see it back up there. It'll run back up. Again, once that's what we want is a physical. If we get a physical, then this will go way up. So you've had the opportunity of a lifetime to get into gold and silver at these cheap dollars. I mean, if you listen to me when I started this, you'd have been in at 1700. Silver, you can still get in at 37. So I could go to the store and buy it for 39.74. They're $2 over. Gold would be 34.40 for an ounce of gold at my guy's store. But it's still comfortably 3,300. It's not going anywhere. And silver 37.74, should get back into the 40s. And that's going to come. So with that, I bid you a fond farewell. Please feel free to ask questions and comments. That's why I do it live. Football, end of August 23rd, we start with the season for college. We'll have picks. www.teaserking.com has all my options. You can buy a week, you can buy a month, you can buy the whole year. You can buy college only, pro only, or both. You can buy my locks, which are my best plays, which I showed you in baseball. Milwaukee was my lock on Sunday, 5 units, and it won. It's just confidence and, if there's a trend and what am I in the matchups that I'm basically looking at. So we will see that. Pro starts September 5th, I believe, around Labor Day. And that's it. So we're getting close. And I will do my Mountain West I will do my MAC and Sun Belt tonight. I'll do them together, I think. And that's it. I think once we get closer to football, I'll get a lot more views on those. I'm looking like I got 7 views yesterday. What the fuck's going on there? But I did 3 of them. So to go through all 3, it's a little bit much because I know I usually do 1 video a day on sports and economics. I think that's it. So COMEX and BRICS, the war is bullshit. And they don't want the gold standard. Again, they don't want to lose their girl. If you have the hot girl and then somebody else starts showing interest, you don't want to lose her. That's what we're doing with the dollar. We don't want to lose the dollar, but you've screwed the dollar over. She became fat and she became old and nobody wants her. They want the gold girl. And that's what's happening. Anyway, I think that's about it. And have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Be healthy and just relax and buy your gold and silver, and you're going to make a lot of money and you can relax. It's not going anywhere. Like the dollar's going to zero. You won't have that problem with gold and silver. All right. Have a good day, everybody. And www.teaserking.com. All right. Thank you.